Yo, got my Slytherin t-shirt on today, happy accident, because today I'm talking about Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. Now, this sequel seemed to got a lot of flack, even before it truly came out, mainly due to the continued inclusion of Johnny Depp as Gellert Grindelwald. This was, I think, around the time that his personal life had started coming to the foreground in quite a negative way. But I'll say this about Johnny Depp as Gellert Grindelwald. Johnny Depp has had a very up and down career. I mean, he's had some great stuff like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, to which some are better than others, but still, it's a fairly solid career. But he's also had some pretty downers like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Mordecai, from what I understand. But honestly, in this role as Gellert Grindelwald, I think he's actually a pretty good fit. I might I might be in a minority on it, but yeah. But that's Johnny Depp. I mean, for the film as a whole, well, it appears I'm in another minority because after seeing this film, I actually think it's pretty good. I mean, when I sat down to watch the first Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, I hadn't seen it in theatres, so I only got the DVD. People were saying it's brilliant, so I sat down and watched it and thought to myself, yeah, this is a good film. I mean, I prefer the original Harry Potter movies, but yeah, for a dive back into the world, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was pretty good. So I thought I would have the same kind of view when I sat down to watch The Crimes of Grindelwald. But then it provided something a little bit deeper, and I don't know. I honestly thought it was pretty good. So, the basic plot of this one, following on from the last film, Newt Scamander, played by Eddie Redmayne, is contacted by Albus Dumbledore, or a younger Albus Dumbledore, played at this time by Jude Law. And Jude Law as Dumbledore, I was hesitant about it, but honestly, it's a pretty good fit. I mean, I've seen Jude Law play both good guys and bad guys. I mean, he's mostly known for playing bad guys, such as Pitch Black in Rise of the Guardians or Yon Rogg in Captain Marvel. But then, as we saw with his role in the Sherlock Holmes movies as John Watson, he can do good guys well. And while you might be hesitant, you could debate whether Albus Dumbledore is truly kind of on the side of good, like he's dabbled in bad. I honestly think Jude Law was a pretty good pick for this time. I mean, he captures the man who's clearly done some things he's not proud of, and clearly there's some things he wishes he could have done differently, but then is doing everything he can to try and make things better. So, honestly, Jude Law for the cast of Dumbledore I thought was pretty good. But anyway, Newt is contacted by a younger Albus Dumbledore who asks him to travel to Paris in order to try and kind of figure out what Grindelwald, who's just escaped from custody, is up to. Grindelwald has kind of big plans to kind of get the Wizarding world back on top of the Muggle world, especially involving the Obscurial from the last film, Credus Barebone, once again played by Ezra Miller. So he heads along that way and eventually meets up with his kind of previous friend and somewhat love interest, Tina Goldstein, played by, once again, by Catherine Waterston. But that's not the only problem he has to deal with. There's also the fact that Queenie Goldstein, once again played by Alison Sudol, has undone the mind wipe done to Nomad Jacob Kowalski, once again played by Dan Fogler, with the intent to marry him. Which is kind of seen as a bit of a problem, as by this point, Muggles and wizards aren't supposed to be able to marry. They aren't supposed to get together. But she has essentially done a kind of magic on Jacob in order to make him compliant. To which Newt eventually removes this, and he and Jacob go on kind of a big journey while Queenie is kind of at a crossroads. I won't say entirely what happens with her, but honestly, I think it's done pretty well. But then one thing that I suddenly grew to like about this particular film was how it connected with more and more of the greater Harry Potter universe. For example, while they were mentioned in the last film, this film we get introduced to Leta Lestrange, a Ministry of Magic member and the fiance of Newt's brother Theseus, who that's another element they brought in of Utah's kind of a dodgy relationship with Theseus. Both of them are seemingly on the side of good, but then both want to do it for different reasons. But then I also kind of like the introduction of Lestrange in this one because while we know Bellatrix Lestrange, played by Helena Bonham Carter later on, is absolutely batshit insane, Lita Lestrange I actually find is a pretty interesting character, played by Zoe Kravitz in this film, and she does have some sides of she's not entirely good. She's done something she's regretted, but then again, she also isn't entirely on the bad side. I mean, she does strike me as a person that's quite interesting to watch. I mean, when they show a flashback sequence of the two of them in one of Dumbledore's Defense Against the Dark Arts classes, and she faces off against her Boggart, I saw the Boggart and it's kind of this unfolding kind of white mass kind of sinking down through the air, and I was just thinking to myself, what is that? I mean, apparently they cut it. They don't reveal exactly what it was. In fact, she says, I don't really want to talk about it. But then when we finally find out later on what it actually was, I was only thinking to myself, oh man, that's brilliant. That 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 would be terrifying to have to face that again. That's brilliant. So yeah, I feel Lita Lestrange introduced into this. I feel that was a pretty good character into it. I also feel she has a kind of nice relationship with Newt Scamander. I mean, obviously she's engaged to his brother, but even then, she does have kind of a nice friendship with him. And as I said, I like how this kind of connects back into the wider Harry Potter universe. For example, you got the introduction of this film of Nagini, who, as we know, will have a big part, kind of had a very big part in the final films of the Harry Potter universe. She's kind of introduced in this film, but then you've also got uh, the Mirror of Erised shows up, and also Nicholas Flamel shows up in this film. I'm like, whoa, you know what? That's great. I mean, Nicholas Flamel just showing up. He's a nice, fun detail, and he does actually prove to be an important character later on. So yeah. Also, with Fantastic Beasts, you know they've got to be some beasts in there. I mean, once again, we get introduced to a lot of great beasts in there, such as the Kelpie, the Matagog, the Uguri, and the Zuru, but also get kind of reintroduced to some of the favourites from the last film, such as Scamander's bow truckler named Pickett and the Niffler. And I will say that the final scenes, or coming down to the final scenes, when Grindelwald is kind of in his element, kind of giving the big speech, and he does bring up a few things that I thought, whoa. For example, one of his kind of arguments that wizards need to take their kind of place back on top, he uses magic and shows them that if they don't, then they'll soon be entering something equivalent of World War Two. To which, by this point in the timeline, World War Two hadn't happened yet. So just thinking, you know what, he's got a point. I mean, it's weird to think about, just that what would happen if wizards... We assume that wizards hadn't really gotten involved in World War One. So, what would have happened if they had got involved? It was interesting to think about. But once again, there were apparently a lot of people who didn't like this film. I mean, apparently it only got a 37% approval rating, saying it was a good film, it brought us back into the world of magic, but was lacking story-wise. I don't know about that. I actually think this was a pretty good film. I might be in a minority, but yeah. I mean, I feel that if they had just left the original Fantastic Beasts as it was, having it just as one film, we would probably have been satisfied. It would probably have been a nice dive back into the Harry Potter universe, and we probably would have been, okay, that was good. But having seen this, I suddenly thought to myself, okay, this part of the universe has got a lot more to offer. I mean, we won't get big answers to some more of the questions until 2021. But for what it was, I actually thought The Crimes of Grindelwald was a pretty good film. So, yeah, I may be in the minority, but that's just my thoughts. I actually thought Crimes of Grindelwald was pretty good. Anyway, until the next film, see ya.